I could see colors fine. Like I could see light greens, light reds, blues, all. I could see everything versus different in each other, and so it always annoyed me. But I just couldn't tell like the super light shade of whatever red from the super light shade of green or something. I guess or something.
I got you.
So yeah, but anyways, so yeah, since 2005 I knew as an adult, but until then I didn't know.
Hello, aviators. Welcome back to the Pro Pilot Playbook podcast, where we bring you the tips, tricks, hacks, and shortcuts to get you into a cockpit faster and cheaper. We've got an interesting show today for anyone who's just starting out in aviation, wanting to become a professional pilot. And this is a story of exactly why Mike and I are always harping on folks. If you want to do this for a living, or actually, if you just want to do it regardless, one of the first steps you need to do is get over to your AME, your aviation medical examiner, and get your flight physical done to make sure you don't have any underlying stuff hanging around in your background that's going to slow you down or just completely eliminate the possibility of you becoming a pilot. And we've got that guest today who's got one of these stories. And by the way, I'm Sean Richey.
And I'm Mike Martin, and today we've got a great guest. He reached out to us, and anytime you have an interesting thing you think our viewers would like to hear about, we'd love to interview you. So that's how we met Casey, and Casey's from Texas, and he has a color deficiency in his eyesight, and he's going to talk about the steps he took. He's just embarking on a career 2.0 from, we'll let him talk about his previous endeavors, but he's going to start that, and right away he went in and discovered the color deficiency, and he overcame that. So he's going to tell us step by step what he did here. So welcome to the show, Casey.
Thanks.
Yeah. So tell us now, did you know that you had color deficiency your whole life, or did you just discover it right when you wanted to embark on this piloting career?
Right. So I didn't know about it until a little after high school. I joined the military. I was in the Navy. And when I went through Navy, the jobs I was trying to pick up, they required no color deficiency, but they found out I was color deficient, and that's when they told me about it, and I couldn't pick them, and I had to go a different route. So since about 2005, that's kind of when I knew I had it, and it kind of always irked me because I could see colors fine, like I could see light greens, light reds, blues, all. I could see everything versus different in each other. And so it always annoyed me, but I just couldn't tell like the super light shade of whatever red from the super light shade of green or something, I guess, or something.
I got you.
So yeah, but anyways, so yeah, since 2005 I knew as an adult, but until then I didn't know.
Gotcha. So did you actually make an appointment and go attempt to get your medical, doing their color vision test at the doctor's office, or did you walk in the door and say, "Look, I know I got this. How do I start working it?"
What I was told is definitely go do your AME first before spending money and getting into all of it. Make sure you're good. So for a class 1, because I want to fly for the airlines. And so I looked around. I was calling some AMEs. I was going to do one here locally. They had like two different kind of color tests they could run, and that would work for the FAA, because there's a whole bunch of them. There's like I don't know, I can't remember the number, but I think it was like 6 or something different tests.
Yeah.
And so I was like. Well, so the guy I called, I was like, I was going to do it with him, but then they're like, I was looking online, and somebody mentioned, like, hey, try to make sure you find an AME that can do a lot of them. So I ended up doing that. I had to travel down to San Antonio, like about 3 hours away. And I went to this one guy who can do like 5 different ones. And I went there, I did my AME, passed everything except for the color part. And one of the tests, I was really close. I was what is it called? Ashiria, or whatever. The circle, you gotta read the numbers and
yeah.
There's different versions.
Because Sean and I go through this, so it's a weird test when you first do it. You put your head into a screen, and then there's circles, and they have like different patterns, and I guess the numbers are different colors through the patterns, and they ask you what the numbers are. So in your case, how you know that you have a problem is, I guess you see there's nothing there. Is that what?
Yeah, I could get about halfway through, then I couldn't start seeing anything. I couldn't see anything. Okay. And there's different versions of those too, and the FAA takes 2 or 3 of them. And so, but the one that's supposedly kind of helps, I think, color deficient people, I was like one of those slides out of like 20 away from passing, so I was very like annoyed. So, but anyway, my AME sent me the results of our examination, and then he actually had a link about the OCVT test. and about saying, hey, you can try to kind of like fight it, go take another test and see if you can pass and get past this kind of thing.
Right. So there's like before we get into what you actually had to do to defend this or fight this, am I wrong in thinking the doctor's office where you go and get your medical, they've got the standard eye test machines, but can't they refer you to like a more exotic facility or with better test equipment? Is that the next step, just to make sure that, or are you straight out trying to talk with Oak City now and all that stuff?
Yeah, I don't know if they can recommend somebody else or they want to, because ultimately they're still making money if you come to them, right? So I don't know if they would say, hey, I only got one test, you might want to go somewhere else. And if they're nice, they might do it. But as far as I know, they're probably just wanting anyone to come test with them. Can they refer you to like optometrists or something?
Well, I don't. I just I had asked my AME because I knew we were going to be having this. And that AME, by the way, is going to be coming on the show here. Mike and I are going to be interviewing him about this topic, his side of how to deal with this topic and some other stuff, that common medical problems. But I briefly mentioned it to him when last time I was in the office there. And he had said that he would refer people up to Columbus, Ohio. The Ohio State University up there has some type of medical facility that if they say your color vision's good, then his hand is forced to say that your color vision is good at the same time, whatever certificate they produce. So something like that's going on. I guess we'll get to the bottom of that when we have him on the show, but you were never told anything like that.
No, I was not. No, I just knew that there was a few different tests you could try at AME's offices. So pick one of the AMEs that have a lot of those options, and that's what I did. And of course, didn't pass it.
And Casey, you probably know this because it happened to you, but this is a really common thing, right? Isn't it mostly in men or something, or what's?
Yeah, color deficiency. Yeah, it's in men a lot more than women. I think it's some high number. It's like 1 out of every 4 guys, I think, something like that. It's very 20, 25%, 30%, somewhere in there. It's
Gotcha.
Most men have them, so it's sad. It's like it stops me from doing fun stuff, like I said, in the Navy, but it's okay.
So one student I had, I can remember, that had this, and I helped work through this with him. This is a long time ago, but his deal was he couldn't decipher between green and white, and he said that was a common one. Like, what was your colors? Or
that's for the testing. That was my hardest part. It was the green and white.
Green and white. I always thought it was green and red were the problems, or blue and green. Blue and green. I'm sorry, blue and green.
From what I know, maybe I'm wrong, but from my experience in life and everything, I heard that red green is generally like kind of the predominant colored issue, and then I was told in the past I was red green, so I thought I would have very big trouble with the red green. But in the testing when I was doing it, there's red, green, and white you had to deal with a lot, and the green and white was actually the hardest because the green to me it was a very, very light green, and it just wasn't like. It wasn't like a stop sign or a green on a stop sign or a
stoplight that goes.
A traffic light. It wasn't even like that green. It was a lot more lighter than that. So I was just like, it was very weird. I don't know if it was, like I said, maybe it was just my eyes, but it was just very hard for those two. The red was fine. Red, green, red, white, I could see. But
Yep. Great. Okay. So walk us through now step by step. So you go in to this AME, you uncover the problem, and then what was the next step?
So like I said, I found a first class AME person who had a lot of different test options. A lot of them have websites and things. So just call around or just call them and be like, hey, how many different tests for color vision do you do? And, see that kind of stuff. I did that, made the appointment, went in, passed everything else. Cause obviously it's not hard to pass your physical stuff. Otherwise it's just really that. And I failed that. And then he wrote it up and he sent me an email and it had the OCVT test. Kind of like outline flow through work chart about what to do.
OCVT, that's color vision test, I'm guessing, is the CVT.
Yeah. So, and then I called what I did. I don't know if I did it right or proper, but what I did is I actually called up the FSDO office up in Dallas, Fort Worth area, the North Dallas FSDO office. And I was asking him, I was like, hey, I want to take this test, like what's all about it? Because I didn't know anything about it and how they do it, how long it takes to get on the books even. I didn't know anything. So I called, and luckily I got a hold of some really good guys here at the North FSDO office in Dallas. He put me in over like kind of over the phone. He like put in a request for it and everything. But when I was actually reading the paperwork, it says you're supposed to like submit in writing formally that you want to take it. And but what I found out, at least for Texas area, I don't know if it's everywhere, but the FSDO office here in like Texas, they're all like pretty like backed up. They're not they have a lot of work to do and not a lot of people. And,
Yeah.
and of course they're a little bit older too, so they're probably it takes an extra minute for a couple things too.
So
And
just to be clear, this is all post doctor's appointment, post medical.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And did your AME help you get this? Maybe not, because you're calling FSDOs and stuff.
Yeah, no, he didn't help me with anything. He just sent me the results and that kind of like it was like a PDF, like 1 or 2 sheets about.
Okay.
Okay.
And then just for the viewers at home, this OCVT test, we are talking about, I don't know if you know what's that acronym. That's why I was saying I'm guessing CVT is color vision test, maybe observed color vision. This is the flight, correct? Can you talk about what this test is a little bit?
Yeah, so the OCVT test is 3 parts basically. So you gotta when you get it all scheduled and you meet up with them officially, you're gonna have to first read a sectional map, right? So you gotta do a good old classic, right, sectional map.
And this is this is who's observing you? Is this just an ops guy from the FSDO, or is this another AME, a doctor?
So FSDO people can do it. And that's part of the story I have too. And or DPE from FAA. DPE.
Okay.
So if they're classified, they can do it. Then they can do it for them and send it.
Okay.
But usually the DPEs, of course, charge a fee. So the FSDO office people, they do it for free. So if you're really, really on tight budget and you can't afford stuff, you have to do it with them, but you have to play their timetable, wait longer.
Okay, so you got in touch with the Dallas FSDO. For people that don't know the acronym, that's the FAA office in your region.
Right.
And then they gave you kind of the info on the test. And
Yeah,
what
they
did
did.
say? How long was it going to be, or any of that? How they?
They said when I talked to them, they said it'd probably be 2 or 3 months before I could even take the test, or do that with them. And I was like, that sucks. That's a really long time to not do anything. So I was like, but then I was like, asked, is there any other way to do it or quicker or something? And then that's when they said, well, you can find a DPE. And I was like, what is that? Because I don't know.
Right.
So on the FAA website, you can go there and and you can find other qualified people to give those kind of tests and they'll probably just charge you a fee, right? And
Gotcha.
so I was talking with one of the FSDO guys, and he's like, I guess they had a FSDO office person in Arizona that was coming over, and he happened to just be in town like in the next couple weeks and something, and he was qualified to do it. So they're like, hey, let me put you in touch with them. Maybe you can get it done for you faster. So it was the people at our FSDO office in Dallas were very nice and very professional, and they were trying to help me out. And I was like, okay, cool. So I called him, and he was like, yeah, I can do it. And but then the plane I had rented, somebody went over on their flying, and it went into 100-hour maintenance, and so it went out, and so I couldn't find another plane at the last minute to take the test with him. And he was leaving; he was like only in town for like the day or two. And plus, also he was trying to charge a very hefty price for him doing it. He wanted like $750.
Yeah, that's the standard examination fee. That's what he would charge you also to get your private.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I felt like I didn't know anything about all this and fees for this stuff. So like, I didn't know if that was fair or not. My gut was kind of telling me it was probably overpriced, But I was like, but I'm just trying to do it quick as possible. And this guy was basically giving me an answer now, could give me an answer in a week. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna bite the bullet and do it, whatever. But it fell through because of the plane, and I was like, ugh, so annoying. But it dodged me from paying that much money though, so that was kind of nice. Yeah. Right. So it went away. I called back the FSDO office. I was like, hey, he didn't work through. Put me on the books, for like a month, whatever it is, a couple months out, or whatever the soonest is. And they were like, and the guy I talked to, I called him up and talked to some new guy I haven't talked to before. And so surprisingly, at the coincidental same time, he's like, oh, I got to get qualified on the second part of the OCVT test because he was getting his quals. He's a newer guy there. And he's like, actually, do you want to meet I think I called Friday, and then he was like, do you want to meet Monday? And I was like, well, that's really awesome. And yes, because I wouldn't have to pay the fee, but I couldn't find a plane because it's not their job to find a plane. You have to find a plane.
Sure.
Okay.
And an instructor. So I was like, I was kind of having issues with that. And so I was like, I tried to get it all set up, and I was calling a local 61 Part 61 school up in Fort Worth in Sprinks Airport. It's a small little airport, training school airport thing. And anyways, I found somebody, and then so I found out that gentleman that runs that business, he's actually qualified as a DPE to do all that, which I didn't know.
Mm.
And so he was like, hey, he's like, I can just take care of it, and we don't have to try to get them down because it required two people to come down because he was getting trained by his other counterpart.
Oh, yeah, he's being observed himself.
Yeah, so he's being observed. So they're probably going to be extra strict, and we had to find a bigger plane to hold 4 people because plus there are no skinny, there are no skinny guys. So had to pay for a bigger plane and all that kind of stuff. And they were driving into for like an hour out or something. It was a logistical kind of, especially for like I said, I contacted him on Friday, and this was like for Monday, and I was like,
oh, I bet stressful. Yeah, and you got that whole weekend where nobody in there that knows anything about anything or makes decisions is working on the weekends, and
so
one thing, Casey, we kind of browsed, smoozed right over this portion of it, but how much flight training did you have at this point? How much time? How many hours in your logbook did you have when you started this, or was this like the get-go, you have zero training?
Yeah, so I have 0 hours. I have
so that's got to be even more
first
stressful.
page of my flight book right there. 0.
Oh, wow. So this is even more stressful because the mountain of stuff that you don't know, just the teeny tiniest trivial nuts and bolts of how a flight school functions. You haven't been there to observe or understand. So this whole time you're calling and setting up airplanes in the FISDO. Yeah, you're just in the blind, man. I commend you for being able to pull this thing off. Because most people discover this after they're getting close to solo. They already know what's going on at the FBO and the flight school and how airplanes this and the FAA that. And then they go get their medical and realize they can't see the numbers in the circle, and then all hell breaks loose. But
you did it the right way.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So now you chose to do the test with this DPE, right?
Yes.
And tell us. So get into the intricacies of the test and how that went.
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, we got sidetracked. The first part was the sectional map, right? You have to be able to look at one of these bad boys and tell all the colors on it. You don't need to know what all the things mean, the squiggles and the symbols. You don't need to know what they mean. They just want to know that you can do all the colors.
Sure.
And of course, those maps are, what are they, magenta?
Yep.
And what they call blue, I guess, but to me, it's more
like blue's cyan.
Yeah, there you go. To me, it's kind of weird, but yeah, so I could see all those okay. A couple of and you got to be kind of careful on that because some of the city areas, like where it's like yellow for the city, and then but then they have the blue. It does alter the color a little bit because there's a couple of those like little circle symbols that are like kind of half on, half off, and you can see it. Like if you can see it, right, color deficiency kind of thing. Yeah. But it shades it differently, so you got to be a little careful on a couple of them. And there's a key on the back, so it's pretty, and they tell you what things are generally colored anyway. So as long as you pay attention to all that, you can score that. That's the easy part. That's
so he just laid out the sectional on a desk and then said, "What is this?" or "What color is this?"
I asked him. I was like, "Hey, do you want me to just start naming stuff and what color they are, or do you want to point at stuff? What do you want to do?" And he's like, the gentleman that the DPE I got to do it. He's like, "Yeah, just go ahead and start naming stuff and tell me what the color it is." And so I just went around the map. I was hitting it up, and it took like 30 seconds. And he was like, "Okay, you're good." I was like, "Okay." So that was the easy first part. Then the second part was the one I was worried about the most, and that's the tower test, right? So you gotta go to the light gun. You gotta go to a tower, and they're gonna get their light gun, and they got 3 colors: red, green, white, and they're gonna flash 10 of them at you. That's what the rules say. They gotta flash 10 at you, and you have a lot of time.
Oh wow! I didn't realize it was 10.
Yeah, so you gotta flash 10 at you, and you got time. Like once they flash it at you, you don't have to hold it. They'll hold it for like a few seconds or something, or flash it at you. And you got like a minute, up to I think it's like a minute or something to reply, and then like kind of clear your eyes too. They're not like doing it real quick at you.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I was worried about too. I was like, I didn't know if they're gonna be like red, white, green, or something.
Right.
So,
and for those of you watching on YouTube, I'm gonna put some pictures of what the pilot actually sees from the tower and what he's talking about here, along with some. I'll put the sectional chart up too.
Yeah. And I'll clarify too. So from the for that tower test with the light gun, they're up in the tower. They got a little gun with the lights, and you got to be 1,500 feet away. I think it used to be like 1,000 and 1,500, but like now it's just 1,500 feet. So you can go to Google Map, find a tower, you can go do it. What I did was I went to our Waco tower here. It's a very small airport, and I went there lots of days in a row, and I finally got the number to them. It was kind of hard to find the number, but I got the tower number and called up there. And I was like, "Hey, can I just do a practice light gun test real quick?" And they were all very nice and friendly, and I never got a no, so they always did it. And so I went up there at 1,500 feet. I used Google Maps, measured it out, and I just did light tests from there and got to kind of really see how it is. And yeah, it just it looks like a little dot from far away. And the red was fine, but the green and white sometimes was a little complicated for me sometimes. But,
yeah, I just realized, for those of you watching this right now, any of you with the thought in your head, like, what is lights from the tower? This is you're demonstrating the ability. If you lose your ability to communicate on the radio in an aircraft, and you're you're approaching an airport that's controlled, that has a control tower. If you fly by, there's actually a procedure, lost comm procedure. You would come in, enter the pattern, wave your wings to the tower. They'll recognize, hey, this guy's not talking to anybody. I can't get a hold of him. He's waving his wings. This guy's lost his radios. And they will start giving you these light signals. And there's different signals, whether it's flashing or steady or what color the light is. And, it could be cleared to land, go around in the pattern one more time. After you're on the ground, there's another one to taxi to the ramp or stop, hold position. There's different light gun signals for what the tower's trying to tell you, but it's all about loss of communications is the point.
Very good. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And then, so we did the tower test, did 10 colors. And I wanted to do it here in Waco because I've been doing it. I did all my practice here, but it worked out better just to do it up in Fort Worth at their airport that the DPE actually flies out of because he had his own business there. For 61 school. And anyway, so I went up there. I actually went up there about 3 or 4 times and did it at their little airport tower. And so I did it 2 different places. And so I got some good practice on it. I kind of saw their lights and at their shaded tent and kind of at the angle, like where we would be doing it, seeing if it messed with it at all and that kind of stuff. So it felt comfortable enough with it. And then, anyways, after we did that, also we had to point out the airport's what's it called? The
beacon.
The beacon.
Rotating beacon. Yep.
Yeah, the rotating beacon, and just say the colors of that too. So
gotcha.
We had to do that, and then that was the second part. So I luckily got through all that, and that was my big sigh of relief. And then the third part, which wasn't as scary or hard, is just going up. We had to get into a plane and go up. And we had to be able to read the colors, like on your console, whatever kind of plane you're flying, just be able to read, make sure you can tell the colors, and also just kind of point out general colors and things out in the airport or outside the plane below, like, oh, there's a water tower. What color is that building? It's red, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Green.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, so we did that for like about 20 minutes and then came back, and then that was the last part. So once you do those 3 things, you're good to go, and they'll fill out the paperwork, and then like I did, and FAA will eventually send you that letter of evidence or SOTA, whatever you want to call it, and and that allows you to be exempt from doing the color test every time you get a physical for forever until you retire.
Well, that's great
because you've proven it. You
paid your time. You did all these extra weird tests with the FAA, so they're just like they bless you.
Right. I guess color vision does not degrade like the rest of our vision.
Right. Yeah, and and I'm married, and my wife was actually like, well, they allow pilots to use, like glasses, right, or contacts. Why can't they let you use like color glasses or contacts?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know if that would quite work, but it's an interesting question. It's if you get help other ways, why not, right?
There you go. There's this side hustle project. You can develop that product and sell it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so
congratulations. I mean, that's got to feel good to get that done and know that obstacle is cleared for life for you.
Yeah, right. It does. Because that's what I was originally worried about, because I didn't realize, I was like, oh, I'll pass it with the FAA so I can go ahead and start doing it. But, after you get, since I'm about to hit 40, you got to take it every, I think 6 months, right? Your physical.
Well,
I was like, do I got to do this every time? Or, do I got to fail it every time at the medical AME's office? Yeah. And so luckily they explained it. They're like, no, you do this one, and you just got to always have it with you and just show it to them, and you don't have to worry about doing that part ever again. So I was like, oh, awesome, I'm good.
Yep. Until you become a captain at a 121 or 135, you will, as a flight instructor, you're only required to go once a year. for your physical, no matter how old you are. You only need maintain a second class physical. So that first class will become a second class after 6 months.
Okay, there you go.
Okay,
Yeah,
so what that guy end up charging you? What was the rate?
Yeah. So when I asked him about it, because he's like, "Oh, a DP, I can do it," and I was like, "Oh, great!" So I'm gonna have to pay a big fine.
Right.
Close to that guy, and he was really nice, and he only charged $250. So
wow,
that's fair.
Yeah. And I was like, and like I said, it felt like probably the situation because it wasn't a physio guy getting examined by his supervisor.
Sure.
It was a lot more relaxed and like not as probably crazy strict or something, and so it was worth the money. It was worth the money, in my opinion. So
gotcha.
Yes.
So Casey,
had that, Sean.
Sorry,
the
go
FAA
ahead.
gets observed on your check ride. They always say they're here to watch me, not you. And you're like,
don't worry about it. Ignore him. Ignore him. Yeah, right.
The nerves and everything. You're just like,
right. Well, I don't care who he's observing. Somebody's getting observed by the FAA, and I know what that means for me.
Yeah.
Great.
All the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted on those check rides.
Yeah.
All right. So congrats, Casey. So what's the status right now? Are you you're in a holding pattern, waiting on this magical letter to arrive in the mail here? And how does it work? Do you actually have a medical? I don't have mine sitting in front of me. Do you actually have a medical certificate that this letter coming in the mail needs to accompany every time you fly, or how is it a special medical you get? How's that work?
As far as I understand, maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I understand, I'll get a letter from the FAA, and I just gotta always have that when I do my examinations. I don't think you gotta have it for flying.
Oh, when you have so you need to go back to the AME and now or at least get your medical issued from the AME, right?
Yes. So I went there. I already did my physical, and I got that. So I don't believe I have to go back. I'll have to double check that. But I was calling the flight schools.
He
probably needs to see the letter. Did he give you a medical certificate, a little paper?
Yes. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, he probably just emailed that.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about the
actual medical certificate?
No. Are you talking about the DPE or actual my AME when I first?
Your AME. Yeah.
That's AME. I got my little medical thingy that had the restriction on it for no night.
Yeah, so now he just emails them that, and maybe they release it, or just use the two combined documents.
Yeah, it probably says must accompany blah blah.
I think I just had to have both of them, and so
gotcha. Very good.
Yeah, because no one's told me I've had to go back or have to go like redo anything or anything like that. So
okay.
It should be all right. But yeah, and to answer your question, I'm waiting on that letter to come in now from Oklahoma. So whenever that happens, hopefully next month, hopefully I get done soon. But I was calling some schools. I was like, do I need to have that fully in my possession first before we can start, flight school? Because I'm trying to start right away. Pretty much after the holidays, like June 6th or January 6th, I mean. And so they were like, the gentleman was like, we can work with you. You can start stuff, ground school and some other things. And it's like, basically, you just gotta definitely have that letter before you do like solo, pilot. Solo.
Yeah, the only thing you would just need to have it before you solo. You could go over there and fly for 100 hours with an instructor. Nobody's gonna stop you from doing that. If anybody tells you anything different, they're wrong.
Yeah, no, that's what they said, and so that's good. And like I said, from a lot of your guys' videos and other things, I've figured it sounds like the Part 61 school is kind of the best way to go, but I don't know. I've had issues like the Part 61 school that I was talking to here. One of their, they only had 2 planes, but the guy was really good, and I thought I was going to probably end up going with him, but then his plane went down. His other one was already out in repairs, and then it got delayed like 2 weeks from coming back from delivery, not even like repairs or maintenance or whatever. It was just the delivery part. And so I was like, I can't be waiting around for weeks if planes
right.
So as much as I do like the smaller schools and a little bit more connection, a little bit more whatever, I don't know. I'm thinking about if I do the 141. So
yeah. Well, we appreciate you being on the show, and we that's what we do. We help people get their careers launched. So we're gonna further this relationship, and what would be just totally awesome, because now you're at 0 hours. You've overcome this obstacle. Once you get all your ratings, you start moving. We'll do another episode, and you can come back and talk about your training and how all that went. And then maybe we'll do another one after that when you get your jet job. How's that sound?
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, now that you got this monkey off your back, now you got a whole.
The rest of it's easy.
Yeah, right. Well, now you're in all this research of the flight schools. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes of how frustrating it must have been going through all this. And then you don't even really have a flight school picked out yet. So you're calling up these flight schools asking for favors and, almost. And I don't know. It's quite a feat. Congrats getting this taken care of.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah.
And it's been a good experience though too, and the fact that I've seen like the aviation industry in the field, like I haven't really ran across anyone like that's been a jerk or doesn't want to help. Essentially, so
Yeah.
so
It's
far,
a great community. Great
maybe I'm
community.
lucky. I haven't done enough mingling into it, but it seems like everyone in the aviation field has been pretty helpful and like trying to help whatever way they can to do whatever. So that's the good part so far, at least for me. So
Awesome. That's great, man. Awesome. Well, thanks
Good
again for
deal.
being on the show, and we'll wrap this one up. But we look forward to having you back.
Yeah,
problem.
and if you're watching this right now, Casey is on here talking to us because he sent us an email. If you got a question for us, you can email us at podcast@propilotplaybook.com. And we really like the questions where you go ahead and hit the record button on your phone, either audio or video. You can email us with your question. Those play even better in this format. But like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you don't have time for any of that, go to the App Store and download the new Pro Pilot Playbook app from the Apple App Store. You can see the product, the actual course we sell. You can demo sections of the course. It's helping a lot of people.
Great. Awesome. See you next week.